All right, listeners, get ready because today we are diving deep into Fyodor Dostoyevsky's Crime and Punishment.
Oh, one of my favorites.
We are going way beyond just skimming the surface this time.
Uh-huh.
We are going to really unearth the themes, the characters,
Right.
and the psychology that makes this book such a masterpiece.
It's really a book for our times, you know?
Yeah.
It grapples with questions of morality,
Oh, absolutely.
guilt, poverty, and really what it means to be human.
Totally.
Questions that are as relevant in the 21st century as they were in 19th century Russia.
For sure. And whether you are revisiting this book, prepping for a big exam, or just curious about the hype, this deep dive is for you.
Definitely.
Now, to understand Crime and Punishment, we have to talk about Dostoevsky himself.
Of course, of course.
I mean, his life was,
Yeah.
to put it mildly, intense.
Oh, yeah, you could say that again.
So give us a little bit of background there.
Well, Dostoevsky faced imprisonment, even a mock execution. Can you imagine the psychological impact of that?
It's just unbelievable.
And then years of hard labor in Siberia.
Oh, my goodness.
It really gave him this incredibly and chillingly intimate understanding of suffering and punishment,
Yeah.
the mental torment that people who are, well, condemned go through.
I mean, this wasn't just some theoretical idea for him either.
No, not at all.
He actually started writing The House of the Dead,
Yeah,
his novel about prison life while he was still imprisoned.
that's commitment.
That is hard.
Taking right what you know to a whole new level.
Exactly. So how do these life experiences connect to Crime and Punishment then?
What's everywhere?
Yeah.
Dostoevsky doesn't just tell you about poverty.
Right.
He makes you feel the crushing weight of it.
Yeah.
And it's so real.
Yeah.
Take Raskolnikov, our protagonist. He's this poor ex-student in Saint Petersburg.
Right.
And he's just barely scraping by.
Yeah.
And Dostoevsky lays out his poverty, his internal struggles in this really stark way.
Yeah, it's both stark and deeply personal too.
Absolutely.
And he really pulls you into Raskolnikov's world, like right from the beginning.
Yes.
Like even just those little details, like when he goes to the pawnbroker and you hear the tinkle of the bell
Yes.
or his hesitation before he goes in. I felt uneasy reading that, like something terrible was about to happen.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Dostoevsky is just a master at using those small details to build suspense.
Yeah.
And foreshadow the things that are coming.
Totally.
But it's more than just like mechanics,
Yeah.
Those details add to this atmosphere of desperation and this sense that his life is closing in.
Right.
That pushes him to the edge.
Totally. Speaking of desperation,
Yes.
we have to talk about Marmeladov.
Oh, yes. Marmeladov.
This guy, this down on his luck alcoholic.
Yeah.
He is like the perfect example of how Dostoevsky uses characters to really represent much bigger societal issues.
Right. And he does it so well.
Yeah.
Marmeladov's despair is just so palpable.
Yes.
He's got this really long speech about his daughter, Sonia,
Oh, right.
getting forced into prostitution to support the family.
Oh, that's right.
And Dostoevsky wasn't making this up. This was reality for many people
Yeah.
in 19th century Russia,
Yeah.
where even honest work could barely keep you alive.
And the way that he talks about Sonia's sacrifice, it's heartbreaking.
It is. It's really hard to read.
But then he talks about divine judgment
Oh, yeah.
and forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
it's like this tiny little glimmer of something deeper.
Yes.
Something spiritual breaking through all of his despair.
I love that you picked up on that.
Yeah,
It's brilliant.
it is.
Dostoevsky takes this, what seems like a simple crime story,
Right.
and just weaves in these incredible philosophical and theological questions.
Yeah, he's asking about, like, what is redemption?
Exactly.
Is it just earthly punishment, or is it something
Much bigger.
much bigger?
Divine forgiveness.
Yeah, and it makes this book so much more than just a crime novel.
So much more.
Right, so we've got this atmosphere of poverty and desperation and moral dilemmas, and then bam, the crime hits us.
Right.
And I love how Dostoevsky sets the scene, the dingy staircase,
Yeah.
the suffocating heat,
Ugh, you can feel it.
the flickering candlelight. You feel like you're right there.
It's so real.
Yeah.
He pulls you right into that moment,
Uh-huh.
and you feel the grime, the
Yeah.
tension, and the murder itself is just brutal.
Yeah. Oh, it's awful.
The pawnbroker, and then her sister Lizaveta shows up unexpectedly.
Right.
And it's just chaotic and horrifying. And you're right there with Raskolnikov
Totally.
as he's panicking, and he realizes He may have left evidence.
Oh, I know, like the blood-stained rags.
Oh, I know, I know.
My heart was pounding when I read that.
It's so intense.
But it's the aftermath.
Yes.
The psychological fallout.
Yeah.
That Dostoevsky really gets right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because Raskolnikov is not some, cold-blooded killer.
No.
He's a man spiraling into psychological turmoil.
Yeah, totally.
Dostoevsky really lays out his paranoia and his attempts to hide the stolen goods.
Right.
His feverish delirium.
Oh, yeah.
All with this precision that's just unnerving.
Yes.
It makes you question, is the real punishment the crime itself or the mental and spiritual anguish that comes after?
That's a good question.
Right.
And if all of that wasn't enough, we've got this whole cast of unforgettable characters
Oh, yeah?
that entered the scene.
They come in?
Razumikin Zosimov,
Uh-huh.
that mysterious Svidrigailov.
Oh, yeah.
I was hooked.
He's a good one.
Like, each one of these characters is like a reflection of Raskolnikov.
Right.
Or his philosophy.
It's like Dostoevsky is using them,
Yeah.
not just as plot devices,
Uh-huh.
but like mirrors to his soul.
Right.
Like, for example, there's that scene
Yeah.
where Raskolnikov,
Right.
who's dirt poor himself,
Yeah.
helps this drunken girl
Oh, right.
who's being harassed by a policeman.
Yeah.
It's a small act.
Yeah.
But it shows you how complex his morality is.
I know. You think you've got him figured out.
Yeah.
And then he just does something
That throws you for a loop.
that throws you for a loop.
Yeah.
And then to make matters worse,
Right.
his mother and sister, Pulcheria Alexandrovna
Yep.
and Dunya, arrive in Saint Petersburg.
That complicates things.
Oh, things get so much more tangled.
Yeah.
And then Luzhin shows up,
Yeah, illusion, yeah.
Dunya's fiance.
Oh, yeah.
That just adds a whole other layer of tension to everything.
Well, you see, the arrival of his family really throws all of Raskolnikov's conflicts into sharp relief.
Yeah.
He feels responsible for them
Yeah.
to protect them from harm,
Especially Dunya.
especially Dunya.
Right, and you see Luzhin's true colors.
Oh, yes. He's manipulative.
So manipulative.
And that just feeds into Raskolnikov's warped sense of justice.
It does. It's like he thinks he's the only one who gets to decide.
He's judge, jury, and executioner.
Exactly, who deserves punishment.
And Luzhin being willing to exploit Dunya,
Yes.
that just reinforces his idea
It does.
that he's above morality, that he can take the law into his own hands.
Which leads us to
The cat and mouse game.
Raskolnikov versus Porfiry Petrovich.
The investigator? Oh, this is where the psychological warfare begins.
I know. Talk about a battle of wits.
Oh, their first meeting is just electric.
Yeah,
You're in Raskolnikov's head. You can feel his paranoia,
totally.
his desperation as he tries to read Porfiry's every glance, his every word.
And you feel like you're being interrogated right along with him.
Oh, it's so unsettling.
It
You
is.
start seeing shadows and doubt everywhere, just like he does.
Right, but Porfiry is not just messing around.
No.
He is a master manipulator,
He knows what he's doing.
using psychology to just completely unravel Raskolnikov.
From the inside out.
Exactly.
And that is what makes Crime and Punishment so captivating.
I know, it's not just a simple whodunit.
No, not at all.
It's about what happens afterward.
Yeah.
The psychology, the moral consequences.
It's a battle for his soul
Yeah.
as much as it is a legal investigation.
That's so true. So we've got the crime, the fallout,
Uh-huh.
this total descent into a psychological abyss.
Yeah. So where does he go from here?
I mean, is there any way back for him?
Well, that is the question that will lead us into the next part of our deep dive.
Oh, can't wait.
So join us as we explore how Raskolnikov grapples with the weight of his guilt and the relentless pressure from Porfiry,
Right.
and how one extraordinary relationship becomes his lifeline.
All right, looking forward to it.
Me too.
We left Raskolnikov in a really bad place, like on the verge of a total breakdown.
Yeah, it's rough.
The weight of his crime and Porfiry just like constantly putting on the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
But even in all of this darkness,
Right.
there are these like little glimmers of light.
Yeah.
These really fascinating characters that really impact Raskolnikov's journey.
Yeah, in ways he could never have imagined.
Exactly. And Dostoevsky doesn't just use these characters to move the plot along.
Right, yeah.
They really shape and challenge his whole worldview.
Like Razumikin.
Oh, Razumikin, he's fantastic.
He's the best.
He's everything that Raskolnikov isn't.
Yeah.
Practical, compassionate, grounded.
He's such a good friend.
He's the ultimate friend
fiercely loyal.
to Raskolnikov and his family.
Uh-huh.
Always trying to pull him back from the edge,
Yeah.
offering him reason and support when he's spiraling.
It's like he represents a different path.
Totally. A path not taken.
A life that's lived with integrity.
Right. With connection with other people.
And while Raskolnikov is isolating himself,
Yes.
consumed by his guilt,
His twisted ideology.
Razumikin is embracing life and forming real bonds with people.
He is the anchor, you know?
He is.
Keeping everyone from being swept away
Yeah.
by the current of Raskolnikov's darkness.
And he also sees right through illusion, doesn't he?
Oh, yes, he does.
Like, Razumikin is the one who exposes Luzhin's, his manipulative intentions with Dunya.
Absolutely.
And that really solidifies his role as, like, a protector.
Yes, a true protector.
It's almost like he's like the embodiment
Uh-huh.
of Dostoyevsky's belief in the good of humanity.
Right, that there's still good.
Yeah, despite all the grim stuff that's going on.
In this dark world.
I think you're right.
I think so, too. But
Yeah.
Dostoyevsky doesn't shy away from the dark side either.
No, he doesn't.
Which brings us to Svidrigailov.
Oh, Svidrigailov.
Talk about a character.
He is so unsettling.
Oh, he is a puzzle.
Yeah, total puzzle.
Wrapped in an enigma.
Like, you just can't figure him out.
No.
Like, his attraction to Dunya is obvious.
Yeah.
But his motives are so murky.
You never really know what he's going to do next.
Right, one minute he seems like he's being kind,
Yeah.
helping out Marmeladov's family, and then the next he's making these creepy advances towards Dunya.
Ugh, it's awful.
Like, even challenging her to shoot him.
I know. It's like he's testing the boundaries of morality.
Yeah, or like daring the universe to punish him.
Right. Like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, I think he represents that potential for evil.
Oh, absolutely.
That's in all of us.
Uh-huh.
Like those dark impulses.
The ones we try to hide.
Yeah, we don't want to admit to.
He just puts it all out there.
That scene where he talks about his desire for Dunya
Oh, yeah.
as an irresistible, like, physical desire, it's chilling.
So creepy.
Like he's reveling in his own wickedness.
Yeah. It's like a challenge to Dunya
Uh-huh.
and to Raskolnikov.
Like, judge me, I dare you.
Exactly. And it makes us, as readers, face that ambiguity, too.
For sure.
Like, is Svidrigailov redeemable?
Right.
Is there any good in him?
Or is he gonna self-destruct?
Dostoevsky doesn't give us any easy answers.
No.
He leaves us wrestling with these questions.
Even after we finish the book.
Absolutely. And then, of course,
Dunya, she
is the
did.
heart of this novel.
Absolutely. The one person who might hold the key to Raskolnikov's redemption.
She might be his only hope.
I mean, their relationship is like nothing else I've ever read.
It's so unique.
It's this bond forged in suffering.
Shared suffering.
Yeah, and this deep understanding.
They see the darkness in each other.
But they also see the possibility of something more.
Yes, something better.
And Sonia's faith and compassion,
Unwavering.
it's like a lifeline
It is.
in his darkest moments. That's
The
good.
scene where she reads to him from the Bible.
Oh, yes, the story of Lazarus.
It's so powerful.
It's like she's planting a seed
Yeah.
of hope in his heart.
The possibility of a spiritual resurrection.
Exactly.
And despite, like, his initial resistance, he confesses his crime to her.
He does.
And it's not just about admitting guilt, right?
Right.
He needs her to forgive him.
He
to
does.
even begin to forgive himself.
He needs that absolution.
But even after he confesses and goes to Siberia,
his journey is far from over.
no, it's just beginning.
He still struggles with so much shame.
The isolation.
The weight of his past.
It's crushing him.
It's like he needs to punish himself even more
Yes.
beyond what the law requires.
Like he can't accept forgiveness
Even from Sonia.
until he faces his own self-hatred.
It's heavy stuff.
And this is where Dostoevsky gets to the core of it all. You
The
know,
core of what?
what does it mean to be human?
Yeah.
How do we forgive ourselves?
Yeah.
How do we reconcile what we've done with what we believe?
How do we find meaning in a world that often feels meaningless?
He asks the big questions.
He does.
And he doesn't shy away from them.
No.
He forces us to face them.
Yeah.
Alongside Raskolnikov.
It's like Crime and Punishment is more than just a story.
It's an experience.
It's a descent into the darkest parts of the human psyche,
Uh-huh.
but with that glimmer of hope
A sliver.
that maybe even there redemption is possible.
Maybe.
So we've seen Raskolnikov struggle with his guilt,
His isolation.
his warped sense of justice, find some comfort with Sonia.
Right. But the question remains, does he actually find redemption?
Yeah.
Does he emerge from Siberia a changed man?
Ooh, good question.
That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive into Dostoevsky's masterpiece.
Well, we've really gone deep with Raskolnikov, haven't we?
We have, through the darkness of his crime, all the psychological torment
Yeah.
and those complex relationships.
Right.
Now he's in Siberia.
The Siberian prison camp.
Talk about harsh reality.
I know, it's like the ultimate test.
It is for his soul.
Can he find redemption?
Can he escape his past and actually change?
Huge questions.
And the prison camp becomes this crucible for him.
How so?
Well, he's just surrounded by suffering.
Right.
It's like a constant reminder of what he's done.
It's got a weigh on him.
It does, but initially he stays isolated.
Ah.
Oh yeah, still clinging to that intellectual arrogance.
That led him to murder in the first place.
that-
So he's punishing himself, but not in a way that actually helps.
No, it's like he's built this wall around himself,
Right.
unwilling to connect with the people who might actually be able to help him.
He can't admit he needs help.
He can't. And he still thinks he's above the other prisoners.
Like he's different.
Exactly. And that pride, that inability to really face what he's done,
Yeah.
that becomes the biggest obstacle to his redemption.
And Sonia?
Sonia's there.
Still.
Oh yeah, she
Other
followed him.
than to that awful place.
Siberia, she's incredible.
Oh, I know. Her faith, her compassion,
They're like a bright light,
in all of that darkness.
and she's not judging him,
She just loves him and supports him.
believing in him, even when he doesn't believe in himself.
She's amazing.
She really is, and her presence starts to change things.
How so?
Well, she embodies everything he lacks.
Okay.
Humility, forgiveness, that connection to something bigger,
Right.
and her willingness to sacrifice everything for him.
It's huge.
It starts to wear down that shell he's built around himself.
And then he has that dream.
The one in Siberia.
Yeah, about the plague.
Oh, that's a terrifying dream.
It is. It's like this vision of the world being destroyed by the very ideas that led him to murder.
That's exactly what it is, this plague of madness and isolation.
Spreading everywhere.
It's a turning point for him.
You think so?
Oh yeah, it forces him to see how his own twisted ideology,
Right.
taken to the extreme, leads to utter chaos.
It's like a wake-up call.
It is a terrifying one.
But he needed that.
He needed to see the consequences.
To finally be open to change.
Exactly. He starts to understand that redemption isn't about being right.
It's not.
It's about being humble
Compassionate.
and recognizing that we're all connected.
It's a hard lesson.
It is.
Hmm.
And it doesn't come easy for him.
Oh.
He falls back into despair. He questions everything.
He struggles with Sonia's love,
And his family's
but he's changing.
slowly, but it's happening.
That's what matters.
It is. He begins to see the world differently,
To see the people he hurt.
to see their worth.
And then at the end,
After years of suffering, he has this epiphany.
what happened?
He finally embraces Sonia's love
He confesses.
to her and to the authorities
And he accepts his punishment.
with humility.
Wow. What a journey.
It is. It's a process.
Not just a sudden change.
No, a long, hard road.
Dostoevsky really shows us how hard it is to change,
To admit we're wrong
to face what we've done
and to be open to forgiveness.
from others and ourselves. So after all of that,
After this incredible journey,
what can we learn?
what does this book teach us about being human?
What does it all mean?
Well, I think Crime and Punishment is a testament to the human spirit,
To its strength,
its ability to overcome darkness.
to come back from the brink.
It reminds us that we're all capable of great things,
Good and bad.
and that even in despair, there's always hope.
Hope for redemption.
That's the message.
It's powerful.
It is. It challenges us to question everything,
Our beliefs, our ideas about right and wrong.
to see that we're all connected
It's a story that stays with you,
long after you finish reading it,
making you think,
making you feel.
making you understand the world and yourself a little bit better.
Dostoevsky was a genius
He really was, combining psychology and philosophy
with this deeply moving story.
of love, loss, and redemption.
He doesn't give us easy answers,
No,
just questions that stay with us,
questions that make us think.
that make us human.
Well, we've explored the depths of Raskolnikov's mind
His moral struggles.
and witnessed the power of love and forgiveness.
Crime and Punishment is more than a book,
It's an experience.
a conversation about what it means to be human,
To make mistakes,
to suffer.
and ultimately to find redemption.
Thank you for joining us.
On this deep dive into crime and punishment,
We hope you've enjoyed exploring Dostoevsky's world with us.
and that you'll continue to ponder the questions this amazing book raises.
It's a story that will stay with you.
For sure.